Hello and welcome. Today we are looking at the U31R Navigator drone from UDI-RC. This drone is a racing drone with 5.8 gigahertz FPV. It has a 720p 120 degree wide angle lens, and it comes with the full FPV 5.8 gigahertz package, which includes transmitter, 5.8 gigahertz screen, and goggles. So let's check it out. Now the drone comes in this black box. It looks very sleek. It says UDI-RC Navigator, and right there it says FPV Racing. And right here on the side it says 5.8 FPV headset. And here on the back you could see the drone racing through the forest, and it talks a little bit about its features. And this one also has the choice of using altitude hold as well. You could either fly this manually or with altitude hold, so that is pretty cool. So yeah, pretty neat display here. So now let's open this up and check it out. Here, pull this out of the box here. Get that out of the box there. Here's the instruction manuals, and let's open this up. Right here you can see the drone right away, and here's some sort of a instruction or warning. Here is the FPV headset, and let's see what's underneath this. That right there. And here is the transmitter, and this appears to be the strap to set up on the FPV headset. This is just a simple layout of all the controls. And underneath here, let's take a look here. Here we have the two batteries. This must be the battery of the screen. This has a 5.8 gigahertz screen, and here are probably the charge cables, screwdrivers, etc. So let's organize all of this and take a last look at the contents. Taking a last look at the contents of the box, we have the transmitter, its proprietary USB charge cable, instruction manuals, the drone, its two 7.4 volt 350 milliamp LiPo batteries, spare propellers, miscellaneous tools such as screwdrivers and wrenches there to put the propellers, goggles for the 5.8 gigahertz screen, and a 500 milliamp LiPo battery for that screen. So that's essentially the contents of the box. So now let's take a closer look at the drone. Now, taking a closer look at the quadcopter, it is a very sharp looking drone here. It's all blue, and right there at the top it says UDI-RC, and you could also see its on-off button right here. And it is a brushed motor quadcopter, and it has its propeller guards on, and they're very easy to just snap off or put on. No installation or screws needed for that. And it does have a good size and weight to it. It's not a tiny whoop style quadcopter, but it's not particularly large. It's, you know, a smaller to mid-sized drone here. Right here at the front, it has its 720p 120 degree wide angle lens camera, and it's I'd say maybe 2 megapixels, so it's a very sharp looking camera. And right here at the bottom it has its rubbery stoppers there at the bottom of the landing legs, and it has its 5.8 gigahertz antenna right there at the bottom. And right here where the battery goes, there is a little slot for an SD card. So right here, the SD card goes in there, and you can record your flight footage. And there's a little icon of the SD card. And right here is the battery bay. We'll take a quick look here at the battery. So, as mentioned earlier, this is a 7.4 volt, 350 milliamp LiPo battery, and it has about a 90-minute charge time, and you get about a 6-7 minute flight time, maybe possibly 8. So not too bad in that area. And the package does come with 2 batteries, so that's pretty good. This does have decent lights for orientation or possible night flight. The legs don't have extra lights on the sides per se, but since the plastic is pretty clear at the bottom, you can see this very clearly from all angles. So very good lights, very easy to see in the early evening. So overall, a very neat looking aerodynamic quadcopter, very sturdy, very durable. Now let's take a closer look at its transmitter and FPV goggles. Now taking a closer look at the transmitter, this is a solid, well-built, well-labeled transmitter. It does take 4 AA batteries here in the back. So that's that. Now, going over the transmitter a little bit, we have the left throttle stick. Now you have the option of either flying this with altitude hold or not. So the throttle stick is not spring loaded, but you do have this button here that once you give it some throttle and it's in the air, you can press this button, you'll hear a beep and you'll see a blink, and it will maintain its altitude. And you can press it again and you have manual control over managing the altitude of the quadcopter. So you have your left throttle stick, your right directional stick, your on-off switch, your headless mode button. This is the altitude hold button. Right here is your video button to take video, your picture button, and right here in the back you have your rates button right here, high and low. But I believe there's 3 rates on there, denoted by 1 to 3 beeps. And then right here on the right you have your trims button. You press that and then you move the directional stick to trim the quadcopter. So those are essentially the main controls. There are no flip buttons or anything to that effect. You have these 2 foldable antennas, and there is a little door here so you can put the 5.8 gigahertz screen on it. So here's the clip that folds out of the transmitter like that, and you could see how the screen easily mounts right there on the transmitter, which is pretty cool. So you could mount this on the transmitter, or you could slide this into the FPV goggles and fly it that way. So it's a good option to have. This transmitter does provide about a 200-250 range, foot range of control, and the FPV transmission is about that as well. And another neat thing about this control is that you have 2 indicators, beeping indicators. One, if you're flying the aircraft a bit out of range, you will hear a sequence of beeps letting you know that you're flying out of range. And if the aircraft is low on battery and has a low voltage condition, it will give you an LVC warning, and this transmitter will beep letting you know you have to land. So that's very cool as well. Very comfortable, well constructed transmitter. And so yeah, now let's take a closer look at this screen with the goggles and see how that works. So here's the 5.8 gigahertz screen and goggle combo right here. So you do have the option to put the screen in the goggles for a more immersive experience, or you can simply mount it on the transmitter for a more casual FPV experience. But here's the set of goggles. They do have like a magnifying glass there, so you can so it amplifies the screen a bit, and it does require just a very minor installation of these straps, which are very easy to just slide through these areas here and just connect them together. So very easy setup there with the straps. And now looking at the screen a little bit, it does have this 500 milliamp 3.7 volt LiPo battery, and the way you charge it is with this micro USB connection, which it does. This package does come with a micro USB cable, so you can charge this, and you would simply put it on the back of this screen like this. You just slide it in and connect it like so. And the screen has a few buttons of control. The main button right here to turn it on is right here, and you should see a light to go on. You have to keep it pressed, and then the rest just simply becomes a matter of switching to the right channel. And you have a menu here, a menu button right there, that will change some settings. So you would toggle the different menu options such as brightness, color, contrast, language, so on and so forth. And then you got your display there of what battery percentage you have, what channel, what group you're on, so on and so forth. So you've got your channel button to cycle through the channels, the group button to cycle through the groups, and then you've got a plus and minus to either navigate through the menu, or you know, change certain settings or move through channels and such. This does have an auto scan, so if you, I believe if you keep the channel or group buttons pressed, they will auto scan to search for the right channel. But a very clear display. We'll look at it here in just a sec. Here's a folding antenna. So this antenna basically folds in and out like so. So you just slide this into the goggles, and so very clear, very large display. Overall, a very comfortable set of FPV goggles. Very clear screen, and just a good setup. So we're going to go over a first time setup of flight. Now, setting this up for a first flight is very straightforward. Once fully charged batteries are inserted in the drone transmitter and screen, you would start off by turning on the drone. So you keep the on button pressed until you see some flashing. Then you would turn on the transmitter like so, and then you'd have to bind the transmitter to the drone, and that's done by moving the left throttle stick up and down until you hear a beep. And now everything's bound. The next recommended step is to calibrate the gyros, and that's done by putting both sticks down and to the right, as so. And then you'll see a brief sequence of blinks, and once that stops, the gyros have been calibrated. Be sure to do that while it's at the ground level, with the quadcopter not moving, still and flat, to ensure that you have the most stable flight possible. Once that's done, you should be able to turn on your FPV screen and get a live feed. And so right now you can see we have a feed here with the 5.8 gigahertz screen, and the latency is just about nothing, you know, a lot less than any Wi-Fi drone or the Wi-Fi version of this would be, because I believe there is a Wi-Fi version of this, UDI W31 or something to that effect. Also, there's another brand called Potensic that also has a 5.8 gigahertz package just like this, only the quadcopter is gray, and it comes with an extra battery and a case. So that may be something to look into. But this package from UDI is very good with the extra battery and the screen and the option to put it on the transmitter or the goggles. It's definitely a very good set for anyone beginning in FPV or getting started in FPV. Let's take it out for a little spin and check it out.
This is a homage beat.